back to my channel, or if you're new here, hey, how you doing? My name is Ash. I am a makeup artist and a book lover, and today's video is going to be a very quick-ish video where I talk about the 5-ish books that I read in the month of May. I honestly did not read that much. I read basically 4 books, and I'm still reading this one as I'm filming this on the 30th, so I'm counting it because it will be done by the end of the month. In this video, I decided to just do my base makeup and do my eye makeup over on TikTok because I've been slacking on my TikTok stuff. I'm gonna move over and do that now, so if you're interested in the eye portion, follow me on TikTok. You'll see it there first. Yeah, this is just me rambling about the books that I read, and I'll have everything listed down below, so without further ado, let's just get started. Alright, I'm gonna just hop into starting my makeup, and then I'll start talking about the books I really didn't read that much this month, which you will see in the beginning when I do my intro. Let's just get started. I'm gonna start with the Smashbox Halo Plumping Dew plus Hyaluronic Acid Illuminating Moisturizer. I talked about this in my favorites video. I don't think I've used this on camera yet. I've used it in my day-to-day. Just gonna do a little bit in my palm. Not really my palm. I really like this. It is very highlighty. It feels really nice on the face, and I am very into it. I just want to kind of get some of these base products on because I don't have that many books to talk about. I want to just kind of get this over with, but I'm going to go in with my brows now. This is the Anastasia Brow Wiz in the shade, what do I have? Auburn. And then my ponytail is the Mia 24-inch Copper from Insert Name Here, or INH Hair, whichever you want to call it. I'm just doing a quick fill-in. I do the pencil first, then I go in with my base products, and then I touch up my brows when all the powders and everything are done. I kind of always feel like I do my brows better when my hair is in this ponytail. I feel like a different person when I have it in. So I'm going to be going in with my Smashbox Halo Healthy Glow Tinted All-in-One Moisturizer. I'm pretty sure I have maybe 5 more uses of this. It's harder for me to tell how much I have in it because it's just like, it's never ending. But I've used it almost every day that I did makeup this month. I'll act like nothing wants to come out, and then like a bunch will come out. Oh, maybe? I'm afraid to squeeze too much out because I don't want to, you know, use it up. I just want to get to the end of it, which I may not have 5 uses out of that. Ooh, that's exciting. Anyways, I'm going to blend that in with my sponge as I talk about the first book, which will be in these Hallowed hauls. This is a dark academia anthology with 12 different authors. There's 12 different stories in here. These are all short, around 30 to 40 pages each. One of my first times reading like a dark academia type of book. Like, I have read maybe dark academia adjacent stories before, but this was my first time reading solely something that was dark academia, if that makes sense. I need to blend this in before I talk anymore. My face is breaking out because I had a contour stick that I was trying to use up for my project pan, and I used it twice and it just broke me out in some areas that I had it, so it's like, it's probably because it's so old. So moving on to the Merit. This is the Bronze Balm. I have it in the shade Quince, which they did gift this to me a while ago. I actually have quite a bit of this left. Quite a bit. Anyways, in these Hallowed hauls, I'm not going to go through each individual story because that would just be a way too long video because I overtalk. So I will say that my favorite story in this was The Hare and the Hound by Kelly Andrews. This is one that has just stuck with me since I read it. I really like the psychological like mindfuck basically with it. It was a short story and it was just done so well. It was like, I don't know, like 35 pages. Basically, you have this guy whose nickname is Bunny. He's now in college. When he was in, I think, junior high, when he was like younger, much younger, he snuck off with his friends on a field trip and ended up at this like fortune teller's place. And the fortune teller, basically told this guy that if he comes across a white rabbit, if he pursues the rabbit, it will not end well, basically. And he had to leave with her screaming that he's a murderer. So he's in college at this point, and his nickname Bunny has stuck with him, and his friends just kind of go along with it. But he meets a rabbit, and then he meets this girl, and oh my god, just the way that it plays out, the way that she messes with him was so good. Big fan. Big fan. Another one, which was the next one in the book, was The Ravages by Lane Fargo. This is a sapphic. It is betrayal, revenge, ghost story, ghost haunting type of thing, where this woman, she sees her girlfriend cheating on her, and she kind of gets revenge on her. And like, it was so fun. I was really into that one. I will say though that my least favorite was The Unknowable Pleasures by Susie Yang. It rubbed me the wrong way. And like, the writing style wasn't terrible. Like, that aspect of it was good. Fenty concealer, almost done with this. But the writing was just, like, it wasn't bad. I didn't have a problem with the writing style. It was just like the subject of it. You had this college girl who became basically obsessed with this professor and this other student, that they kind of like butted heads in class, and she like was obsessed with thinking that they were having a secret relationship together, like these two men, and you know, forbidden teacher-student, male-male relationship, and she was just obsessed with this. It was all she could think about. I think she was seeing things that she interpreted as signs, which turned out to be just nothing, because they were like so confused about her. And like, she's dating this guy, and he's like, what the hell are you doing, basically? And he was just like, what are you doing, kind of obsessing over these guys? Boyfriend deserved a little bit better, just saying. Like, he didn't seem like a bad guy. He just seemed like he deserved better than what she was gonna give him. And I don't know, it just rubbed me the wrong way. Not something I would say that would completely like write me off from wanting to try another work from this author, but just as of now, I'm just not into what I read. I'm just gonna powder with my two powders that I've been using lately. All my makeup details will be listed down below though. I'm gonna go in with some faux freckles. This is my Nabla freckle marker, and I'm gonna dirty up my finger because that is the only way I know how to do this and make it look decent. I really like this anthology. I ended up giving it a 4-star rating because overall, even though some of these stories were like misses for me, I really enjoyed the atmosphere of it, aesthetic of it all. It took me pretty much less than 24 hours to read it. I remember when I read this book, I was filming all day, so I was taking like breaks in between filming and editing and reading a story in between, and it just went by so much faster, and I really enjoyed it. I would like to read more sort of anthologies, not necessarily just in dark academia. I think just some anthologies in general would be good, because it's a good way to see the writing style of an author. Because when I picked up this book, I only recognized 2 names, which would be Oliver Blake and R.L. Rio. Is it R.L. Rio? M.L. Rio. My bad. So yes, that was in these Hallowed hauls. And then I read Ish, The Metamorphosis and Other Stories by Franz Kafka. This is actually my husband's copy. He got this in college, and this is not just a metamorphosis in here. There are other short stories, which I'll be honest, I read this mainly for the metamorphosis. I didn't really care about the other stories. I did read them for the most part. I did a very fast, this is what I did in college, especially with books like this, I did a very fast skim read, which got me the gist of the story without taking the full time to read it, because the font is very tiny and the writing style is from over 100 years ago, so obviously like the tone and intonation of it all takes a little bit longer for me to read versus, you know, something that's written nowadays. But I did give this a 4-star rating, and I'm just going to talk about the Metamorphosis because that was the main story in here. And that story is all about this man, Gregor, who one day he comes home and he wakes up and he's slowly turning into a giant bug. And it's actually kind of sad. His family's not very supportive of it. He can't really communicate effectively because he's literally turning into a giant bug. It all comes to basically a head at the end where he's fully transformed into a bug. Nobody wants to go into his room, and basically, I'm sorry if this spoils it for you, but like literally, if you know Franz Kafka's writing, you would know that this is kind of where it goes. There's lots of death involved. And basically the family kind of like starves him to death, and then they end up just getting rid of his bug body and just going merrily on with their life. Oh, this is the Nabla bronzer that I always use because it is beautiful. Anyways, his books lean a little bit more absurdist fiction. You'll find a lot of college age students who are doing gen ed English classes or are pursuing the English or writing major. They may encounter his writings in a syllabus. Some professors add his writings to their syllabus for students to read. I actually in college read The Trial, which is his unfinished work. I believe it's unfinished. That's what I remember from college at least. And my husband ended up reading that because we were in 2 separate classes. I took more English classes because I was contemplating a writing major. I wish I would have pursued that instead of the degree I did, but that is neither here nor there. But yeah, overall I did give it a 4-star rating. I think it's worth reading if you are into absurdist fiction. One of the last stories in here, A Country Doctor, it's kind of messed up, but there's 5 little stories in this little book. And then I read The Spite House by Johnny Compton. This is a horror, ghost story, supernatural story. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. And I move on to Blush. This is Lottie London Serene. I really enjoy the story. It starts with this man, Eric, who is basically on, I'll say like the run, but they're more like in hiding with his teenage daughter who is almost an adult and his youngest daughter who is, I believe, 7. So you have Eric, who is the father, and then you have Des, who is the oldest, and Stacy, who is the youngest. The mother is not in the picture, and you don't learn what happens until more than halfway through the story. Like, you get like an idea, an inkling of what it is. I honestly had my thoughts go in a completely different direction than what actually happened. But basically, Eric is trying to support his family and stay under the radar, so there's no credit cards, there's no paper trail. He tries to get jobs that pay cash under the table that aren't asking too many questions, which those jobs aren't hard to come by, it's just hard to, I guess, keep. So he ends up finding this ad in the paper for like Too Good to Be True. He applies for it anyway, ad to basically just live in this spite house. But he ends up going. This takes place, I believe, in Texas. They end up accepting him. The person who put out the ad is this rich old white woman. Eric and his family, they are African American, which there are themes of race in here. Nothing necessarily racist in here. There's just a constant theme where Eric and Des both have it in their heads that they are not white and in the deep south. So they're just a little more wary for their surroundings and just making sure that they stay safe as they get to the spite house. Let me just say, old, rich, white woman, typically always crazy. So basically, he's tasked to go live in this house with his family. The owner of the house, I think her name's Eunice, she basically says that if your kids want out, because she's not very forthcoming what happened to the previous people she hired, which is a big no-no. Big no-no. So he ends up going. The kids, I think, last 1, maybe 2 nights there, and then he lives in it alone, and just like stuff hits the fan, just things come out. Going in with my highlighter, I'm mixing Anastasia Snowflake with the Unearthly Spectre. It makes a gorgeous light purple highlight. Like, look at that. Love it. Anyway, so he ends up in there alone, and just a lot of stuff happens, and you eventually learn exactly what happened to put them on the run, and it's just like, I would be freaked out too. I don't want to spoil it because it does happen much later on in the story. It's actually really good. I will say that the ending wrapped up really quick, like faster than I expected it to, because the beginning was so like drawn out with explaining like what happened, why they're running and hiding. Like, the ending just kind of wrapped up really fast. But if you think about like horror movies, especially like ghost stories, everything kind of wraps up like really quick at the end. So like, I wasn't mad at it, but I ended up giving it a 4-star rating because I really did enjoy the writing style and I enjoyed the storyline. I love a good haunted house ghost story type of book, and this one just tickled my fancy. I really liked it. But this highlight though, like nothing, bam, so good. that was The Spite House, and then I picked up another very tiny book. This is actually just a very short story. This is under 70 pages, and this is The Grownup by Gillian Flynn. If you know Gillian Flynn as an author, she wrote Gone Girl, Sharp Objects, and Dark Places. I love her stories. I'm so, I wouldn't say upset. I wouldn't say frustrated. I want her to write another story because those are so good. Gone Girl is one of my favorite books that I read. And like Sharp Objects, Salad. I read that at like a horrible time though. And Dark Places is just, didn't see that coming. Did not see that coming. Gone Girl, I will say, the book, much better than the movie, but the movie is still fantastic. But the book, so much better because they got some things wrong in the movie, a little bit. And like, it was just better in the book. Just better in the book. But this is a short story which is actually part of a anthology. So it says in here that this was actually part of the anthology from George R.R. Martin's The Rogues one, and it originally appeared as What Do You Do instead of The Grownup. This, I love her writing style. First of all, I'm gonna read you the first 2 lines because this honestly was like, okay, no idea where this is going. I didn't stop giving hand jobs because I wasn't good at it. I stopped giving hand jobs because I was the best at it. And it's called The Grownup. Oh, it's like psychological. It hints at like a ghost story without it being an actual ghost story. It is so quick and so good. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars because I love her writing style. So I may be biased, but so good. I will say though, this involves sex work, a marriage torn apart basically, and messed up kids. Mainly a messed up kid. And at the end, you still don't know who to trust. Oh, I loved it. So good. So I'm gonna go in with my NYX pen, and then I have started a 5th book, which I will have finished by the 31st. I'm not sure when this video is going up. Probably my Ipsy box is supposed to arrive today, and it's the 30th, so I'm gonna get that filmed as soon as I get it in. But I am reading a 5th book, which, like I said, I will have it done, and I will share it in a second. Let me just finish my brows. Eventually, I'm gonna spray and talk about this book. This is a Nobleman's Guide to Seducing a Scoundrel by K.J. Charles. This is a 2nd book in the series, and the first one was The Secret Lives of Country Gentlemen, and this is an MM romance set in like the 1800s. I love this. I am almost halfway done with it, so I'm definitely gonna finish with this. But this follows, you have Major Rufus, I'm gonna say this wrong, D'Amistry? Let's throw the name up on the screen because I am probably butchering this. He unexpectedly becomes the Earl of Oxney, which is on the edge of the infamous Romney Marsh, which the first book takes place on the Romney Marsh, where you get Sir Gareth and Joss Doomsday and their little tryst. So good. That's where you first meet Luke. Luke is a young boy in that book. He is a young adult now. I believe he's 26. Luke ends up coming into Rufus's picture because Luke's heard a story from a dying man where he may be the rightful heir to the Earl title. I'm not very good with like Regency, if you can call it Regency stuff. Like, it's just out of my head. But they end up having like a partnership together where Rufus needs a secretary because his cousin just isn't cutting it. So Luke is like, I'm a secretary, I'm out of a job, I can be your secretary. They're attracted to each other. Luke does have a, tragic past. Something happens to him in the first book when he's a child, and it affects him to this day, but that doesn't stop Rufus from thinking that he's the most magnificent looking man ever. It's so cute. I'm about halfway through, so I'm not sure where the story is going, but from what the first book kind of hinted at, I kind of think I know where this is going, what Luke's like motive is. But the back says, a gruff earl and his wickedly clever man find love among gothic shadows, dark secrets, and a haunting family mystery. It's so cute. And I love the cover of this. It's so cute. So yeah, I'm definitely going to finish this. I am thinking that may be a 5-star read because I think Secret Lives of Country Gentlemen, I think I gave that one a 5. Read that was it last year? Yeah, it was last year I read that. Gonna spray my spray. This is the Elli Glow Off Makeup Setting Spray. Love this. Obviously it's a very, very glowy setting spray and I love it. but sometimes it can be a little much because I spray too much, so I take my sponge and just dabble over it. But this is basically my makeup. I am going to do the eye portion, like I said, over on TikTok. And these are all the books that I read. Alright, this is my makeup. I know it's super simple. I love this base makeup. I do it like all the time. I'm obsessed, but these are the 5 books, 5-ish books I should say, that I have finished in May. I am sad that I didn't read as much this month, but I was focusing mainly on YouTube. And then I was working a little bit more, so I didn't really have the time or energy to sit down and read. I'm hoping in June that is different. June, as you know, is a horrible month for me because it is just a lot of things have happened in June the last 2 years, and I'm still not. I should really go to therapy. I should go to therapy. So I'm hoping to be able to read a little bit more just to take my mind off things. When I'm currently filming this, it's the 30th of May and I have the next 5 days off because work just didn't schedule me, which I'm not mad at. Not mad at, because June's gonna be a horrible working month. I'm hoping in June to read a lot more. I still have 3 books that I started and I haven't finished, which would be Powerless by Lauren Roberts, and I bought Reckless before even finishing Powerless, so hopefully I like Powerless. And I started Half Sick of Shadows, still haven't picked that up again, and then If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy. I don't remember the author of Half Sick of Shadows off the top of my head, but hopefully in June I can maybe finish those. Maybe I have a whole stack of books that I pulled, which I will probably post on my Bookstagram account. I am excited to read more and kind of get through my physical TBR. So I'm officially on a no-buy with books, except for the only exception is June 3rd. I'm allowed to go and get Leather and Lark. I think it's June 3rd, that's when it comes out. Whenever that comes out. That's the only book I'm allowed to get. So I need to read through what I have. And yeah, haven't read anything on my Kindle. Haven't touched my Kindle since last month. But let me know if you read any of these books and what you thought of them. But if you want more book content, you can follow me over on TikTok and Instagram. I am Ashley with 2h's.reads. But if you want more makeup content, I am artistryxashh everywhere. All my links and everything are always listed down below. I will have all my makeup details listed down below. And I think that's it. If you like this video, make sure you give a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day or night whenever you're seeing this, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!